Hi there. In this video, I will show you a quick tutorial of the popular Python web framework Flask. So before we start, I assume that you already installed the Visual Studio Code and the Python runtime. For my scenario, I've installed the Python. Yeah, here you can see my version is 3.12.9. Okay, so let's open the Visual Studio Code. And let's open the folder. Here, I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. Let's give it a name, Flask-1. Yes. Okay, select the folder. Here we are. Do not forget to install the extension of the Python from the extension tab for the Visual Studio Code. This will help us to code more efficiently. Okay, so now let's create a virtual environment first. So you can press the Control key with the back quote to open the terminal. Here we are. Let's pipe install virtual env. Right, now let's create a new virtual environment here. Virtual env, venv. That's it. And you can see here the venv folder has been created. Now let's switch to the virtual environment. Scripts and activate the PS1. Yes. Okay, so now we are in the virtual environment. Let's install the Flask dependencies. Pipe install Flask. All right, that's it. So now we have the dependencies, and let's create the first or the main entry of the Flask application. Let's create a new file, give it a name app.py. For the first line, let's import the Flask module. From Flask, import Flask, and let's instance the Flask object. App equals Flask. Here, let's give it an import name. We can use the double underline name to initialize the Flask object. And here, let's add app.get slash. This is a deprecator. Okay, now let's define a function, name it index, and return just a simple string, hello. Okay, now let's try to run it. Here, Flask run. Now let's access this link. You can see from the browser we are here, and we got a simple text hello here. So it's very simple because it's just a string, and it's rendered to the browser. Now let's give it some style for the HTML tag. Let's change this to H1, hello, H1. Okay, and restart this application, Flask run again. Now let's refresh. Okay, you can see it's bigger, and let's inspect this too. We can see it's surrounded by the H1 tag. Okay, it's very easy, right? Now let's stop this application again. And now let's try to do some more complicated template to render. Instead of just return the HTML code directly from the application. Now let's create a new folder named templates. And in this folder, let's create a new file named index.html. Now we can edit this HTML file. HTML5, we can use this snip list to quickly insert this template. And let's change the title, Hello Flask. In the body, let's give it some content. H1, hello, HR. Let's add a horizon line, and let's try to add more, such as a button. Click me. Okay, so the template HTML file is ready, and let's render it to the default view of the index function. So let's add a more imported module from here. It's called it render template, and let's change this line of the code to render template. Here, let's give it the index.html file name. Now let's run it again. Try to refresh. Okay, bingo. So the elements are all rendered correctly, and we can check the source code. The first one is H1, HR, and a button here. So after then, we can just edit this HTML file to customize the content more easily. Okay, now let's stop this application again. And here I want to introduce some basic usage of the Flask. The first one is variable replacement. So let's say I will have some username here. I want to render it such as hello Dexter, but I want to replace this Dexter to a variable. So let's define it here, such as username equals Dexter, and we can pass these variables to the render template function. Username equals username. The first parameter is the variable name, and the second variable is this one we just defined. So after then, we can use these variables surrounded by this username. Okay, it's just a typo of the template. Now let's start this application again, and let's refresh this page. You can see hello Dexter. This variable was replaced by the value from here. And let's double check the index HTML. We use this expression to refer these variables, and this variable was passed from this render template function. So it's so easy, right? Okay, so that's all. A very quick tutorial to the Flask application. I hope you like it.